Hello guys and welcome back. Today we're going to continue on the vine spline theme and do some vines on a spline. So yeah, let's take a look at this. And it's really cool. It follows the spline and you can extend the spline. The only thing is that I haven't gotten around to make it follow the spline in very curved areas, but I don't think that's an issue. You can simply fix that with scaling or doing some extra rotation based on the rotation of the last point or something. And we can do that in the next tutorial maybe. So yeah, it's a really cool asset. And you can procedurally spawn curves later, and we might do that in the next tutorial as well. And I'll also show you how to grow these splines on these meshes procedurally, and you can swap the mesh for any mesh you have, like a building or a house or whatever, and have like these really cool vines basically growing. So yeah, that's awesome. And let's get started. So let's just start with a blueprint class here, and it's gonna be an actor, and name it something amazing as always. Vine spline mega, perfect. And then we wanna add a spline component and swap it for the default scene root here, and then add a PCG component as well. And down here in the right, we can create a new PCG graph or just create it in the content browser, but this is usually faster. Name it something awesome again, vubs vine spline, perfect. And I already have one set up and we'll take a look at that, but you create one from scratch and I'll just assign mine. And then you can drag your vine spline into the world. And when you have it ready later, you can just start to extend these points basically. And you get vines. So that's amazing. So pop up your PCG graph here on the right. And let me just clean up mine a bit. So yeah, we got something actually popped into the input for once. So that's, yeah, finally. And I got some custom pins here and we'll go through that in the next tutorial. But you can set that up if you want to or not. It doesn't really matter. I just inspect this input and pop this open on the top here. And you need to drag your blueprint into the world for this to pop up. But here you can see your position of your points in your spline of the one selected. And then we got a spline sampler, which resamples the points. So you can see here on the top right that we got subdivisions per segment. And you can also do per distance. And I think that would actually be better, but now I didn't do that, and that's fine for now. So then we got the famous density noise and a density filter to filter out some points, and because we're spawning a lot of points. So my mesh entries here are these, not the flat ones, but the tall ones. And you can see it's the famous English ivy as we had in the last tutorial as well. So watch that if you haven't. So if we enable this static mesh spawner, you can see that we got some vines on our curve. So that's amazing, but they're kind of in the wrong direction. And that's fine for now because we can only rotate them. I don't really know what's going on here, but that's fine. And let's just use a transform points node. And you can see here that we got some offset going on, rotation min max. This should be 92, yeah. And we rotate around the y-axis this time, and it's set to 270. You might have to change this depending on your mesh and depending on your spline and stuff like that, but just play around with it and you'll be fine. And I also offset the X and Y direction a little bit because I didn't want all the meshes to be perfect on the spline. But if you do it too much, you can see how crazy it can get. Yeah, and now you're kind of done. So just drag this out in your scene and start to extend your spline here. And you can do this with any mesh basically. And some meshes work better than other. And some meshes like pipes and so on could be really useful. And some meshes can also bend, and I want to do another tutorial on that. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe on that. Yeah, and in the next tutorial, we'll spawn these splines on any mesh and our hero meshes we did in the last tutorial. It's gonna be awesome, so don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you next time.